You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech.
Welcome to Geek Nerd Tech. We're back for week 25.
Hey, man.
I don't know what week it is. What week is it? I'm gonna say week 23, 4. Anyway, it's back. It's good to be back.
Yes, sir.
Talking geek news. We're breaking down nerd culture, tech news from a black geek perspective. Lots to talk about this week, as always. There's been one major piece of news which we want to mention, which we'll get into more next week as it breaks down. But the whole net neutrality thing has been settled, and I really want to get into. We'll look at it a little bit this week, and then we'll get into it next week in terms of what the fallout is. We touched on it before, but it's just something I really want to get into because I think it's going to affect all of us in a lot of different ways. But,
absolutely.
But for now, let's talk about AT&T, which is also kind of a little bit in the same thing. AT&T is really, they're making a bid to buy DirecTV for $50 billion.
Man, that's ridiculous.
They want to buy AT&T for $50 billion. It's an interesting thing for a few reasons, but mainly because it really speaks to, AT&T's need to be the master of all, right? They want to own the wireless space, the fiber optic space, the satellite space. Yeah. So any way you're communicating with anyone, we want to be involved in it and be the leaders in it. Much like Amazon is saying, like, we want to be. If you want anything delivered to you, products, content, whatever it is, Amazon's your person. We will do, and we'll own the shipping, of it too. Yeah. AT&T is saying that as well. Whatever you want to deliver, we own the pipes.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think?
I think it's exactly that. Like, I think we're in a landscape where it's oversaturated. Like, you can get pretty much anything from anybody, and so I think AT&T's strategy is to figure out a way to offer more to its customers,
right?
Versus trying to steal customers away from other competitors. Let's focus on who we have and how can we get more money out of their pockets. And so this is a good way for them to pretty much own all those spaces that you were talking about. I mean, think about it. You have voice, text, data. You have TV. You have gaming. You have even home services. And AT&T wants to be on the forefront to be able to essentially kill all those markets.
Right.
And so I think this merge will put them in a position to do so. I mean, what about you? Do you think this is do you think they are competing against the Yahoos, the Googles of the world by doing this? Because essentially that's what this is going to be a lot of merging of a lot of big companies. So.
I mean, this is kind of where I feel like where things are going, and this is where they always go. Companies start merging. We saw this back in the old school telecommunication days with Pac Bell merging with AT&T. Gobbled up a bunch of companies in the telecommunication space back when we were still talking on landlines. Now they are moving on and owning the wireless space and the cyberspace as well. I think that this is absolutely, it's all about. It's either about the content, what you're getting, or how you're getting it. You know what I mean? And like I said, Amazon is handling that from trucks on the ground and planes and almost in that shipping space as well as the content. And AT&T is handling that in an information space. And I feel like, look, if you own the pipes, you own, that's just good as owning the information.
Absolutely.
And if the pipes exist via satellite, or if they exist via Wi-Fi, or or cell phone data, or fiber optic cables, you own the pipes. The next step would be for them to get into the content business, which they're really not doing. They may do, but I mean, I don't know. It's pretty scary. I am an AT&T customer on Uverse.
Gotcha.
I'm a huge fan of Uverse. I'm not a huge fan of AT&T's wireless service.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm Verizon, so
Okay, so
yeah.
you know it's one of these things, and I don't know, and then if and also this is interesting because AT&T does have Uverse, which is great, and I do love the DirecTV product, and I do love the Uverse product. So if they buy DirecTV, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, so that's I don't know.
I think this is very similar to like the Time Warner Comcast, merge. Like I think this is a huge merge, and I hope that the regulators don't block it. Like, I hope this goes through. I think this is a good move for both companies actually.
And the last thing I want to mention that is a great part of this move is the fact that AT&T, I mean DirecTV doesn't have internet.
Right.
Doesn't offer it. So when you have my Uverse, the main reason I have Uverse is because of the internet.
Right.
Like I love the product itself. I love the interface. I love the DVR, but I also have this great fat internet. And DirecTV, when I had DirecTV, I had to do a separate either Time Warner or Uverse or
Now you
AT&T
could theoretically
anyway.
get the bundle.
Theoretically, if they can figure out how to get internet over the satellite, which is a whole separate thing. Right. But anyway, so let's move on. Now we'll keep our eye on that. Another thing we're keeping an eye on, which is just something that keeps coming up, is Yahoo and CEO Marissa Mayer, who's always under some sort of fire, man. Marissa Mayer, like she's always under fire, but. Yahoo.
Wow, that picture is ridiculous.
That picture is great. I love it. For those of you who are listening, it's a picture of a Yahoo knife over a bloody flicker. But the topic we want to talk about here is that Yahoo. There's an article that's in Wired who talks about like everything Yahoo buys, it kills. Yeah, they've acquired a lot of companies. In fact, I think they've acquired like 40 startups in the last few years and killed 30 of them.
That's huge.
So
that's 3/4.
Yes, and that's a huge difference from what say Facebook does, which is when Facebook's model is when they acquire an Instagram or a WhatsApp, their strategy is to acquire an Instagram, let Instagram grow, and then funnel those users back into Facebook, and then let Facebook grow as a result of what they purchase,
right.
Which seems like a great strategy. Yahoo is like, I'm gonna buy it and kill it, so it can't F with us.
Well, I think it's more of an absorption tactic. Like we're going to buy it, we're going to kill it, and then rebrand it. And I think that's Yahoo's strategy. Like where a lot of companies are trying to unbundle, they're trying to create a one platform that offers multiple services,
right.
Which I think is old-fashioned. Which I think is the old way.
Like Yahoo, you're saying the Yahoo ways feels old-fashioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because most companies are trying to unbundle. Like with Facebook, they're buying a bunch of stuff, and they're going to let that be what it is.
Yeah,
and let that success, kind of like give more shine to the whole Facebook success.
Right. And frankly, as a brand, and sometimes it's okay, as a brand that people don't know. Most people don't know that Facebook owns Instagram. That's sometimes that's a really good branding thing. Some people don't like Facebook. People all the time like, I hate Facebook, but I love Instagram. It's like, okay, well,
same thing.
Guess what? Let me tell you a secret. But so sometimes that's okay. I don't know.
I mean, I think Yahoo just bad leadership. Bad products, bad strategy. I mean, I think they're trying to model themselves too much after Google, and I just don't see it. Like,
Mr. Myers from Google, so
yeah, exactly. Like, what has Yahoo ever offered? Like, the only thing I use Yahoo for is I set up a Yahoo email for spam. If I want to sign up for stuff, I use the Yahoo.
Wow. I think all my spam still goes to my old Yahoo email. The only thing I use Yahoo for is Yahoo Movies. Every now and then I'll like just because as a fifth or sixth source for like trailers.
You said a fifth or sixth?
Well, you go through all your normal sources. You want to look at new trailers. You want to look at some movie news, whatever, and then I'll just click on Yahoo Movies and see what they got going on. And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's so I don't know. So Marissa's got a lot of work to do, and they've got a lot of power and money and space and things. I just really feel like that. I really hope that they can get it together.
I mean, just speaking to this picture too, like this is a perfect example of Flickr back in the day was the photo destination, and now it's like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it's whatever, and it's like Yahoo killed it. Exactly.
Right. Well, the absorption tactic you're talking about, the idea of taking Flickr and then absorbing it into Yahoo Photo or whatever it is, and then, but the thing is, no one cares about Yahoo Photo.
Not at all.
People cared about Flickr. So
Absolutely.
it's like as if Facebook absorbed Instagram and it was like Facebookagram, then everyone would hate it. It's like so it's a really, you really got to take those things into account sometimes. But
yeah,
interesting. We'll see how that plays out. But I agree with you. I think that she's got the wrong idea. Let's here's another interesting story. Speaking of Google, what we were talking about is that in Europe, there's been a new law to try to order Google to forget. And this is a very interesting topic because we talk about all the time. We live in the day and age where everything you do online is lives forever.
Yeah.
So don't be at the fraternity party, with your shirt off, wilding out, and then try to get a job. Don't, be Anthony Weiner and take photos of yourself. it's gonna come up. But what they're saying in this new law they're passing actually and trying to get through is saying that, like, look, some things may be damaging to some people, and it's okay. You can call Google and tell Google, you know what, you might want to take that down because that's been hurtful to me. And there's been a few examples of that. It comes from this lawsuit, initially from the suit from this guy who, when you Google his name, and he's a prominent dude, when you Google his name, it searched back to a newspaper article that had information on some credit problems he was having. He had to sell his house. He had all kinds of bad stuff happen to him. And that was just something that was listed, but it's one of the first things that comes up.
Yep.
And I would hate it if you Google Joe Braswell and it'd be like, foreclosed mortgage, repossessed car. And I was like, damn, I was 18 when that happened. Like,
it's damaging.
Those are the things. And so it's damaging to him. So, what do you think about that?
I mean, this is definitely a privacy rights issue versus an access to information. It's like, okay, freedom of speech, freedom of press. Like, but Google really isn't a press destination. It's a data destination. So it's like, I mean, I feel this is a way to start a new industry for companies to come up and be like, well, hey, we offer service to clean up, all the trash that's been on the internet for you. So, pay us a certain amount and, we'll expunge that or whatever from the internet. And so, I mean, I think for
I'm looking for one of those, by the way.
The average Joe, guys, no pun intended, versus like the celebrity or the public figure, I feel like the public figure information, I think the people should have access to that versus just like the random dude from the street.
Right.
Like, I get it. Like, you don't want something that was a mistake or something that was inaccurate that happened a decade ago to haunt you and prevent you from being successful in a certain area.
Right. I mean, but the question becomes, okay, where do you draw the line? I mean, what if it's legal stuff? What if you're, had some pedophile conviction, which we can search
drunk driving or something.
Or something, and you want to. I mean, people want to do a background search on you, and they can't. It's a tricky thing. Like, what are you allowed to expunge?
Right.
What are you allowed to erase from the record? And what should people, individuals, and corporations be allowed to know about you?
Like, this makes me question, like, what did we do before the internet?
Exactly.
Like, I'm sure there was still a record. You just have to do, you have to be more diligent to dig it up versus now you can get it in seconds.
Well, there were whole businesses that did background checks and find all those things and go through microfiches and go through all that old stuff that we used to have to do to get information, which, now it's like, it's you Google.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a fine line, slippery slope. Like you said, what is determined to be damaging? It could be anything. Like a person can just say, well, I don't like this, like, take it down. Like, who's gonna monitor that? Who's gonna manage that? Who's gonna police that?
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out as well. So we always talk about wearable. We always talk about wearable techs. We're talking a lot about it in the depth of wearables. Are wearables dead? Are they coming back? Blah, 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 blah. There was another interesting article, again in Wired. Wired was kind of doing it this week about sort of like how to fix the wearable problem. They posit that, wearables are kind of here to stay. It's an $8 billion industry, as it is right this very second. It's projected to be a $50 billion industry. Like,
in 5 years.
What they're saying is, in 5 years, exactly. What they're saying is, don't sleep on wearables. Like, the demise of wearables have been greatly exaggerated. But what they're saying is like, we've really got to, the industry's got to do a better job in letting the consumers know that it's for everybody.
Absolutely.
Because the feeling is that these things are, the designs are goofy sometimes, so they don't feel like you want to wear them. Secondly, they feel like they're so micro niched out that like, well, I'm not a long distance runner. What do I need a wearable for? But it's in Google Glass. I'm not a tech nerd in Silicon Valley. I don't want to walk around with a headset on like RoboCop.
Of course.
So those are all problems that people feel like they can fix, and then really have an explosion of wearables taking over. I mean, what do you think? Do you think this is possible?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't see there being a demise of wearables. I just think that there has to be like we talked about previously. There has to be a unique way to, number one, market it, and that's kind of what this discussion is like. What's the language? How are you communicating the wearables? Like, you want to make it feel more communal. You want to make it feel more interpersonal versus it being a product. Like, hey, this is what it's made out of. No, like, what is it doing for you? What is the lifestyle behind the product? But I think, I agree. I think come holiday season this year, I think it's going to be a huge explosion with wearables as the technology improves and we see it being able to do better things. Like, I think people are going to gravitate it for sure. Like, it's going to be something that's a part of our life. Just like before there was a smartphone, you had your laptop. Now you have a smartphone. So now you're going to have wearables. I just see the progression, the evolution.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. I agree. I think that it's just really as with everything, it's an education issue. I'm still. It's one of these things where I'm still on the fence of how much we need stuff versus. I know it's it's an $8 billion industry projected to be a $50 billion industry in 5 years. As long as we're creating these things to be able to enhance our lives and help us and everything else, and great. I don't know. I don't need more gimmicks,
Yeah, it's gimmicky now.
Yeah,
but I don't think it'll be. I think it's going to improve. Like think about smartphone technology. It's the whole app, usage of apps. Like everything is improving.
And then we talked about this on the last week when we talked about the Apple Watch and the iWatch and the idea to use it as a companion piece to what you already have. So the idea that you can really utilize it with your iPad and your iPhone and be able to you get that information back and forth. Download an app on your iPhone that then goes to your who knows what the app creation will be for these wearables,
right.
And how they'll be used. So that's kind of cool. But speaking of,
I feel like wearables are one of those things that once people decide to make them more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like useful?
Right.
Because right now people are just trying let's put a computer on your wrist.
Right.
Oh, let's do this when they're not thinking about just the ability of uses. Like you need parents are buying their kids cell phones right now so they feel safe when they're 7 years old.
Right.
We need a wearable where you just put this thing on the kid's wrist, and if the kid sets it sets off a really loud pitched noise, so people in the whole area are aware.
Right.
Or something that can call their parent or just alert the authorities right there.
Or if your kid
putting a low jack on your kids,
maybe.
Well, they're basically putting cell phones in their kids for the same reason,
Right.
and they're not doing the same job that they would be if it was something like a car alarm in a way.
Or more important, if your kid is sick, if your kid has a disease or something like that, and he gets sick,
he needs insulin.
Exactly. If he's having a seizure, he can know those things, and that's the point that I'm making too, Stephen. I totally agree with your point. The point that I'm making is that I do want to see it get out of the gimmick phase and into the more functional phase, and I think that that's going to be the thing. We talk about monitoring your health and monitoring, we talked about some of these things that are coming. So, maybe wearables are maybe around to stay. We'll see. I agree. One thing that wearables are being used for now, though, however, is, shocker, the military. The military is all over it. And this is a lot of people saying this is what the future of wearables are. We're talking about basically DARPA and other military agencies already using a lot of this wearable tech for combat. Yeah. And we're talking about like in the picture, RoboCop style visors and stuff that we see from the Terminator. That stuff's all here now.
Absolutely.
But not only that, we're talking about chest plates that enhance. We're talking about sort of things that enhance your ability to run, exosuits, all kinds of different things that seem really cool. Remind you of that new Tom Cruise movie coming out. Whatever, I forget what it's called, but whatever. That or any other things we've seen, Elysium. Yep. That stuff's here already, and it'll be interesting to see how this affects our modern combat. But more importantly, it just reminds me of there's always whatever technology comes up. There's always a way to militarize it and be able to use that and sort of dump that into the industrial military complex. Not to get all
to be honest, I think most technology starts with the military and siphons off to us. In a different form. But I think this is a perfect example of machine and man merging.
Right.
I think from an ethical perspective, I have a problem with it because it promotes this country being in a perpetual war because once we're at war we can advocate money to develop these type of things.
Don't you want to be safe?
Exactly. And promote fear and all that stuff. And so I feel like we should be using technology to, bring about peace and harmony versus, weaponizing things that will bring about destruction. And so I feel like, I really don't. I don't see the purpose. I don't see a good purpose in this. I see it more so as a way to dominate and to control.
I agree with you. It's funny. It's the argument. It's an age-old argument that we'll be having long before we were born and long after we're dead. It's the same argument of basically of like, are we protecting or are we, are we a militaristic society that wants to go out and conquer, or are we just trying to make sure that we are able to defend ourselves? And in this instance, it's very similar. Some of the things we use for this exoskeleton, armored, solar panels, biosensors. You can make the argument these are all just to keep our soldiers safe.
Yeah.
We want first of all, our soldiers are going to be out there. Don't you want them to be safe?
Right.
Don't you want them to be in the best position? Oh, what? You don't like soldiers to be safe? You don't like soldiers? What's wrong with you? So like, that's kind of where it goes. And so, I don't know. I think it's cool. I mean, the sci-fi kind of guy likes to see it in a movie, and I think it's very cool. But
Iron Man suit for everyone.
But like you're saying, it's hard to really just sort of, it's hard to not embrace it. It's hard to embrace it. So, but the point is, it's here, and so wearables will be used for that.
Yeah.
So that's one place we'll see it. All right. I want to transition into where I'm coming from right now, because today is Godzilla Day.
You going in?
I'm going. I might go after this show. I might go after. I'm so very excited about this movie. I made no secrets about it. About 5 weeks ago, I made no secrets about it. I think last week. Like, I'm all in on Godzilla and
fully invested. Huh?
I'm fully invested, and the reviews are coming back good. Overall B, review, and I think that 3D, real D, the sound. I mean, I need the whole package.
Whole immersion, huh?
I'm going to the immersion. I hope I got the I forget the Atmos, the Dolby Atmos sound. I want everything. So hopefully we have that. So are you excited?
I mean, I'm definitely excited.
Not excited me apparently.
I mean, I'm not super fan like you, but I mean,
it's not even about Godzilla for me. It's just about this particular movie looks great. But
gotcha. I mean, yeah, I think for that point, just because it's Godzilla, I would like to see this reincarnation of it. But I think it'll be a solid movie. I have no criticisms about it. I think that the actors, the casting is good. I think the special effects look dope. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, and it's also just keeping on with that. There's something in Esquire that I read that was interesting about why Godzilla is still relevant.
Yeah.
And why, and actually they make the argument why Godzilla is more relevant than ever. And there's a lot of different things they talk about, sort of like, but one of the most interesting things in this very interesting article, that one of the big takeaways I found was that Godzilla has spawned, since it dropped in the 50s.
It's 60 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah, so first of all, it's 60 years old, but Godzilla has 27 sequels.
That's just in Japan, bro.
Dude, 27. It's just in Japan. You're right, but that's a lot. Over a dozen video games only in Japan only. You're right, and then so not to mention all the other incarnations we've had here. That's a lot. That's an enduring thing about one giant. The fascination of the giant Tyrannosaurus Rex that's going to come and destroy Tokyo 27 times. Man. Like it's still interesting and relevant to me. What they talk with the article talks about what's happening in real life in terms of what's going on with the polar, what's going on with the Antarctic ice sheet, how that's melting.
Ice caps melting.
Yeah, ice caps melting.
Rising of the sea levels.
Our oceans will be rising. Scientists are no longer talking about what we can do to stop it, the end of the world, but the end of the world's coming. Buckle up.
All the coastal cities will be underwater.
Yep. LA, New York, London, buckle up, so Sydney. So, but they're also talking about some of these things, these factors that lead to, in the fictional world, the Godzillas of the world.
Yeah, the factors that we as humans contribute to damaging our own environment. Right. Kind of like we were talking about with, the weaponization of certain technology. It's the same. Sure. It's the same principle, like with the nuclear weapons. Sure. I mean, that's what Godzilla is. A nuclear disaster. Yes. So I think it reflects back to us like what our responsibility is to our world. Like it's one. And
Right.
if we can't embrace technology so much that it contributes to our destruction. And that's what Godzilla represents. It represents, the Frankenstein, us creating something that turns back and kills us.
Fair enough. And also, I mean, you're not giving me hyped to see this movie. You're supposed to be getting me hyped. No, but I think that, yeah, I agree with all of that. I also think that, there's still that piece of that old nuclear bomb that we dropped in the Gulf of Mexico in the 70s or in the 50s. I can't remember when we dropped it, but it's still floating around in there that may or may not go off. It's and that people still theorize that who knows what havoc it's wreaking down there, or who knows all those old school bombs we left in the South Pacific, what they're wreaking, what havoc they're wreaking. So anyway,
Let me ask you this. So
Yes.
I mean, your own maturation as it relates to the Godzilla franchise, like as a kid, like how important was Godzilla to you? Like, was it something like you were excited about? Like, oh, Godzilla, did you have toys? Like,
it's funny you ask that because I wasn't really all freaked out over Godzilla. I mean, I liked the old black and white stuff, and I did like the idea of Mothra versus Godzilla. I was never really, not until I was older, really liked the idea of the giant monsters battling giant monsters per se. I didn't really think it was as cool as everyone else did until I was older. Until I was probably my teens, I liked the idea of it. What I realized is though excuse me, what I realized is though when Pacific Rim came out and Guillermo del Toro embraced all that and the giant robots fighting giant monsters, I realized, oh yeah, I love this.
Right.
So now that's got me really geared up for Godzilla. What about you?
Yeah, I had a Godzilla toy, a few of them. It was actually my father was a fan of the movie.
Oh.
And, I mean, I think he got me into it. I just thought it was cool because I was always into dinosaurs, and it was cool to see, a fire-breathing, dinosaur. It was awesome. But yeah, I mean, you bring up Pacific Rim, like that's why I'm kind of ambivalent. It's like, okay, this is like, we just saw Pacific Rim last year. Now we're seeing Godzilla. Okay, like.
But this is Godzilla, bro. He's a star.
Cloverfield.
That man, Godzilla will whoop Cloverfield's ass. Godzilla will take out Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Is that same? See, I'll ask you, Lemieux, too. Is the monster in Super 8 the same as the monster in Cloverfield?
No.
You sure about that? Look that up.
It is not.
Look that up. I mean, no, not the same monster. Not the same monster. I think they were supposed to be like the monster in Super 8 was the mother of the monster in Cloverfield. Is what I think. I remember. I'm not sure.
Steven Spielberg would not do that.
All right.
He creates his own stuff. He wouldn't want it associated with any movie that's not his own.
Look it up. Steven Spielberg was an EP on Super 8. I'm just saying. Just saying.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He wasn't on Cloverfield.
Oh,
Super
but
8's
J.J.
is up-
Abrams. So J.J. Abrams connected. There's a through line. J.J. Abrams is connected to both of them. I'm just saying.
All right.
Look it up. Look it up.
All right, so next week, man, we'll do our review on Godzilla.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Okay, so I'm going to skip this one about superhero movies, Lemieux, and then because but I do want to talk about the old school Sega versus Nintendo war. Because it's something this is really cool sort of oral history that we read about, and it just reminded me about the old days of those two consoles, Sega versus Nintendo.
Absolutely.
And it just really got me thinking about, sort of like, those days of when it was all about, I was a Sega guy.
Yeah,
some people
Sonic versus
Mario.
Yeah.
And it really sort of set the stage as to what was going on now. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on those old school console days.
I mean, yeah, I think it was an interesting article. It's kind of like correlated to hip hop, like an early hip hop battle.
East Coast, West Coast?
No, early hip hop battle, like you know what I'm saying, maybe
Like MC Shan versus KRS?
something like that, yeah. Where the marketplace wasn't as diversified as it is now, or wasn't as saturated as it is now. You had these
Right.
two standalone companies going head to head, and like as a kid, like I love both of them. I wanted every game, I wanted every system, both systems, and
Right.
so I just remember playing Mortal Kombat, man.
But you weren't you weren't
I wasn't a loyalist to anything. I wanted everything. I was a kid. Like
Right.
I want as much as I can get. So I mean, but I would say that I preferred Sega for sure. I prefer playing Sega, Mortal Kombat, all that. Sonic, like yeah. I think the article is interesting, just the how it talks about kind of like the choices that were made in terms of marketing, like how, you know, the original concepting of Sonic was more dark, like he had spiked hair, he was more menacing.
Right.
I just think it was really interesting. What were your takes?
I was never ever a Nintendo guy. I was never.
Wow.
Never. And to this day, I don't think I've finished a Mario. I don't think I played a Mario. Wow. I've actually played a little bit of Mario Brothers, but I haven't really Super Mario Kart. But like any Nintendo, the only Nintendo game I remember playing with any regularity was Duck Hunt.
Okay.
And I would play that whatever. But I was all in on Sega. I played every Sonic, everything. In fact, I'm always like a brand loyalist. I drew the line.
Wow.
I drew the line really hard. Rode hard for Sega. Rode hard for Dreamcast. Rode hard for Sega Genesis. Rode hard for and then actually that kind of converted into my love for Xbox.
Of course.
And then now I ride hard for Xbox. So I don't know. I don't know why that is or what I do with that and why that's necessarily a thing, but yeah, that happened.
I mean, I think that's natural. But I mean, you're a little older than me, so as a kid, like I was just happy to get what I could get my hands on.
Right.
So parents said, "Hey, you want this? You want that?" Like, yeah, I'll take it. We go over to your friend's house, and he has the opposite system, so you get to trade off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I didn't have that.
Yeah,
I didn't have that. But we'll see. But this kind of brings us where we are with the PlayStation versus Xbox, and then those wars. And you know, I'm still riding for the other side, I guess. But this comes at the heels of like Nintendo being in trouble, like some of their consoles systems being in trouble. Kind of thinks of us to the glory days of, and as we look towards E3, which is coming up in a couple weeks.
And Nintendo's doing bad. Like for the last 3 years, they've had an annual loss. Like they are not profitable.
No,
like they're going under. It seems like.
Yeah, it's a brand thing. It's simply brand. It's a brand thing. So anyway, but that's it. That's really so. That's all really I got this week. Anything else you want to add?
Nah, man. I think short to the point.
All right, well, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get to Godzilla. I gotta get to the 12:15 Godzilla. I just looked it up. I think that's it for us, Lemieux. I think we'll thank you for joining us here. Where can we find you, Mr. Akili Shine?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Akili Shine, AKILI Shine. And see you guys next week. What about yourself, bro?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell, at Joe K. Braswell. You can also find me on our sister network, AfterBuzz, doing a bunch of shows, Madman and some others. But we will see you guys next week. Godzilla.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.